can ride on out up to the morning, as long as we make the show. We can be the best or we can be the worst, so we can be the best thing you ever heard. With the motor singing and the grandstands ringing, it's hard to put it all in words. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. Out on the dirt ovals we play, life in the bright lights with no shade. So letting her go, letting her rip, letting her fly, tossing her in sideways, living the life, letting her ride, eyesight winning to die. Cross her up on the cushion, crossing the line, cause some drama and some bullshit they didn't like. And if they don't like the mood, then we're ready to fly. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. This is how we roll, this is how we do. It's not for everybody but the chosen few. And we pray, cause we know that they might not ever come back. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. We can ride high, we can ride low. We can ride anywhere we need to go. We can ride on out up to the morning, as long as we make the show. We can be the best or we can be the worst, so we can be the best thing you ever heard. With the motor singing and the grandstands ringing, it's hard to put it all in words. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. Out on the dirt ovals we play, life in the bright lights with no shade. So letting her go, letting her rip, letting her fly, tossing her in sideways, living the life, letting her ride, eyesight winning to die. Cross her up on the cushion, crossing the line, cause some drama and some bullshit.
Oh my, oh my, oh my. We coming today. Oh, we're bringing her in. We're bringing her in, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, we are. Hold on, we go. Bring her down, ladies and gentlemen. This show will give me something to do. This will give me something to do today. Oh my, we are are backing the music down. Lights are off because the lights are going to be coming on here very soon. We have a very interesting announcement, I guess we could say, coming here later in the show in more than one way. I will say this will be a not necessarily dimensional show, not dimensional show. Let me say that. Multiple things going to be discussed on the shows today. Not just the intriguing things that we are seeing out there in the world today, hearing, being suggested to or to not do, or should and should not. We have a lot to discuss today. Oh, yeah. It's going to be a hell of a show. We do have a lot to discuss, so we might as well go right into it. I know the chat is in here already running their mouth. Of course you are. Of course you are. Just running. We're here, people. What's up, Chaz? What's going on, Chris Linton? Tim Crawley was going after Chaz on Facebook last night. He was going after me last night, the night before. Oh, we're going to get into it. Oh, we are going to get into it. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into some topics, though. We do have our tasty treat here. It's not beer or anything, but we're having our little sipperoos. We had the vape on tonight, but we may have to save the vape because you're gonna need some cardio to do it right, if you know what I'm saying. But anyway, where did my webpage go? Oh, we were doing screenshots the other day of some things, and that's why the webpage is not being shown right now. Here we go. Backing her up. We're going to start the show with a good topic, not something that everybody wants to divulge into in a negative light, but there is some good light. Of course, Chase Johnson, those who know who that is, of course, we definitely do, was seen out this last weekend at some sprint car events in Northern California. It says he was at Placerville Speedway for the NorCal Posse Shootout. We saw some really interesting video from all that as well, from that event outside of just Chase Johnson being there. But it was good to see him in some pretty decent spirits, rolling around, smiling at the racetrack. Of course, this is the driver who was severely injured at the Gold Cup last year in the main event. And it was one of the weirder experiences, well, I guess it ain't weird because I've unfortunately had to experience similar things and get just as upset about similar things that happen in the sport to this scenario. But, I randomly run into Chase Johnson all the time when he was racing, of course, and ran into him that same day at Gold Cup. Had a good conversation, a little walk along as they were doing things in the pavilion. But he is higher spirited, obviously. And then, of course, there was some video of him doing some rehabilitation work posted on his Chase Johnson Racing Facebook page. This is definitely some good signs, trying to get the lower body back to being engaged a little bit better so that he could, who knows, potentially get back into a race car. It looks like he's doing a lot. I'm sure that's in the back of his head when he's making every step. Of course, just getting out of a wheelchair, I would assume, is step number one. But we all know these young racers, they never want to quit and keep wanting to strive. I'm assuming in the back of that mind somewhere, Chase Johnson's thinking about strapping into that same old horse that bucked him off in a very bad way and getting back onto it. But we'll see. Who knows? I don't know if that's a plan 100%. But definitely some good updates with the Chase Johnson scenario. You see the trainer there having some smiles and giggles with them as well. So definitely interesting to see this progress of Chase Johnson. I know a lot of people don't talk about it, but we do. Regardless, good situation there. And, of course, there has been some late model news go around. I don't know if people have been seeing this, but that race DRT chassis, Cody Sommer kind of leading the charge on that race DRT chassis that they're coming out with for the dirt late model world. They kind of had like a driver choosing random or person or selecting situation for a driver to drive their car at the Dream Super Late Model event coming up here in June. I believe it's first week of June, so about a month from now. And they comically, I would say, selected, there's Cody Sommer right there. They comically, I would say, once again, selected Dylan Thornton which in this conversation, if you want to go watch it, it's on the Race DRT Facebook, Race Space DRT Facebook. Not all one word, but Dylan Thornton getting the call. He was jokingly asking him, is he related to Ricky Thornton Jr. or Bobby Pierce or anybody like that? Because obviously, last name Thornton, a lot of people would instantly assume that is who is going to be, he's got to have some relation. But apparently not. This guy is a one-off Thornton. Although Thornton had to start somewhere, right? I mean, it did, technically. But one off Thornton, Dylan Thornton getting the call to drive the car. Funny enough, in this, they said, or Dylan Thornton said that he doesn't drink beer at all, has never had a Michelob Ultra, and is used to mixed drinks. That is the new age way to go. Beer is kind of being pushed out. That's the White Claws, the mixed drinks. That's more so the younger crowd's indulgence in today's world. This whole situation here is very great, very grand. Good to see Dylan Thornton get the call up in the late model division, and I think he drove a late model here at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway. I can't remember what team that actually was, but getting some chances. We'll see where the chances go and see how this project, I would call this, with Cody Sommer and Race DRT goes. Of course, they are raffling off a race car. I don't know if anybody has seen this, but it's kind of a raffle. It is a raffle. It isn't a raffle. Once again, this is their Facebook page, Race DRT Chassis, or Race DRT on Facebook. Basically, you go to their website. We've seen these kind of raffle giveaways before. You go to their website, you purchase a T-shirt or this or that, and they got different items on there. I think there's some race-related items on there. And every time you purchase a T-shirt or something like that, you're entered for a chance to win XYZ, whether that's a jacked-up truck. We've seen those, the Camaro, or the Corvette, whatever. And this is for a DRT Dirt Late Model plus $20,000 cash that will be given away at the Gateway Dirt Nationals here at the end of the year in the Dome, as some people reference the Gateway Dirt Nationals to the Dome. So that's an interesting thing that Race DRT is doing with this situation. It'll be cool to see who wins that. I'm sure they're selling some T-shirts, so it's like I think the idea behind this is, instead of just doing a general raffle, especially for businesses who are in a competitive market like the late model chassis market is. Of course, most people would just say, "Oh well, Longhorns dominate that industry," and they do, but they also have a lot of people on the racetrack. But you do have guys like Infinity Chassis coming along. You still got Warrior out there. There's a couple other spinoffs. You got the Black Diamonds are out there. I mean, you got a couple of chassis, or a decent amount of. I'm forgetting probably 20 other guys, but there's a decent amount. So it is a real good thing for a newer chassis like Race DRT to spin this off with buying merchandise, because most of the time, or the really good spinoff on this is, you are basically buying promotion, or you're spending promotion. Like, I mean, you could, give a car away and $20,000 cash, but if you just did that raffle wise, yeah, you might make some money on doing it. But if your goal is to sell whatever you're trying to give away, and you're in a market that is competitive like the dirt late model chassis industry is, if you do it where it's buying T-shirts and buying merchandise or hats or anything like that, then you're also expanding the brand. So it's a really good brand identity-based promotion or giveaway in this scenario for Race DRT and Cody Sommer, everybody over there, to do that. So it'll be very interesting to see how Race DRT does in this whole thing with Dylan Thornton, with this chassis giveaway or raffle or purchase to play type deal. It'll be interesting to see who wins that at the end of the year also. And it'll be curious to see how much we see these DRT merchandise products or things out into your regularly viewed or scheduled dirt late model events at the Dream and all these other places, or even just people across the country. Because, I mean, heck, if you want to win a late model, you buy a T-shirt and you got a chance. And apparently you could do that at racedrt.com. I'd also go listen to their video to make sure you get all of the details on what you actually have to do. I'm kind of just paraphrasing everything that I heard in the video. But to get all the details, racedrt.com. And of course, Dylan Thornton will be in this car at the Dream in just about a month's time. This late model industry does so many things great. So many things great. And kind of one of the influences of the high limit and the sprint car industry wanting to get paid more. That was the whole idea. Why can't we race for more like the late models do? We heard this premise as things were getting rumbled up in the sprint car racing industry. This is something that I thought was very interesting to see yesterday, with the idea of late models and sprint cars, and high limit supposed to come along and make it pay more and all this stuff. I posted here $20K to win. This was the beginning of this Illini, Illinois Speed Week that's just kicked off. They raced again tonight. We're going to talk about it. 5 nights, I do believe. Let's see here. Yeah, 5 nights this week they've been racing. They've already raced 3, I believe. Yeah, 3 nights have already been ran. All of them were $20,000 to win, guys. $20,000 to win. Of course, Davenport won last night. Night before was Bobby Pierce. $20,000 to win 3 nights in a row, which was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then you have Michael Rigsby, of course, the head honcho of Flow Racing. Of course, he's been very kind to the Chaz, likes the Chaz's stuff sometimes here and there. And he commented, followed by a $25K and $30K win event, 5 nights in a row. So 3 $20,000 to win shows, and then a $25K and $30K. And we're celebrating in sprint car world these $12K to win races and $10K to win races. And we're having to circle $50K to win races to make, or 195 or 200 to make it look like we're making up for what I put down here as hashtag freedom. Now, the response to this would be like, well, Chaz, there is money coming back in to the sprint car world. Look at the franchise situation that's coming. It's going to pay huge guaranteed money to select teams. That is true. The late model industry does not have the idea of a franchise system. But what higher paying events does is enables this word, freedom. To choose, to play, to race, to not race. Pick and choose schedules are, even though the championships are way better now for Lucas Oil and the World of Outlaw late models, when you're paying $20K to win 3 nights in a row and 25 and 30 for 5 nights of a 7-day week, that's incentivizing people to not be a part of your group. Or it's incentivizing a way for you to survive well if you choose not to be a part of a group. And see, I mentioned this on the show the other day, but after listening to what I had to say and thinking about it some more, I was like, I didn't make the real point here when it comes to this difference between the late models and the sprint car racing industry. I was talking to a guy who was, 2021, 22, and I've been barking about payouts since 2017. 2018, I've been barking about payouts. I feel like the first public one to start barking about payouts, which is why some people still, give me some credit for this high limit sprint car split and trying to pay the sprint cars more and all that. They think it was me running my mouth all them years that influenced people to do it. That's a whole nother can. That's not me saying that. But we were the first to make it relevant, I would say, in the social domain or in what people are thinking. But I think that the big difference here is the control aspect still is being emulated because the World of Outlaws had that control before High Limit even came around. And if you, due to the fact, for example, that the sprint car racing industry, I believe at that time, was 10,000 to win. A lot of nights, 10,000 to win. Due to it being 10,000 to win, you couldn't really gung-ho your way around the country and just jump and go back and forth. If you wanted to go racing sprint cars nationally, you had to sign up for that World of Outlaw Platinum agreement to get all these other benefits to add up to a certain amount of money to make it viable to travel around and race. And even though the sprint car industry is up now, the World of Outlaws, I believe, is a 12,000 to win prelim night. And even though the high limits are looking like they're paying more, even though I do believe overall the Outlaws still have more money going out to their drivers. And maybe that's through the threat of the high limit series. We'll give them some credit there. But it's still the same scenario where the money that there's a significant increase, for instance, is this franchise thing. But that is still influencing the anti-freedom type of idea. That is still influencing, if you want to come out here on the road and make some money, it ain't going to be racing for $20,000 3 nights and 25 on a 4th and 30 on a 5th. That's not how you're going to make big money in the sprint. That's not how that sprint car world operates. The way the sprint car world operates is you may come out and race for $10,000 and $12,000 for 4 nights, and then you'll get paid 15 or 20 on a Saturday. But if you're a friend, if you're in the group, if you're in our group though, then you'll get this franchisee money. Or for the outlaw scenario, you'll get these benefits. And that's more like a government system, is it not? But you can survive out here way better if you join our group, our country, our World of Outlaws of America, or our High Limits of Mexicano. If you join the group, that's where the money's going and being invested into. Which is that good or bad? Is it good or bad? Is it just how it operates? Is it due to the lack of nationally funded teams or the ability to be a nationally funded team? Are you going to grow more teams in that system? Because I mean, if it was decently funded to race out there in the spectrum of the sprint car world, if you could show up and win a 20K night and a 25K night, and they just raced for 225s. It was scheduled at 75, then it went to 45, then it was 30, I guess, at Mississippi Thunder. Not sure how that all worked. But if you could go out there as a lone gunman and pop a few of these off, you might win enough races and garnish enough attention to maybe go national. Maybe. So is it more beneficial to benefit or support an elite group who can commit financially to going to the national tour and get benefits? Or is it better to just pay better to everyone and maybe build some teams into the national basis? Is the national, I feel like that's why the late models are so competitive. It's because you basically have to win your ass into this national late model scene. You can't just buy your way there. You can't just have enough money to start a team, put a team on the tour, rent the car out, or put a driver who's okay in the car, and now you're this national World Outlaw late model sprint car team or high limit team. You have to go out here and win. Because if you just go out there and compete, it doesn't look good. The fan base doesn't support it. It doesn't work properly. The success stories of the teams that are in the damn late models, which Jonathan Davenport won last night. He finished 13th tonight, battling at the back. And that's how deep their fields are, They're tough. Ricky Thornton and Bobby Pierce are stout, but Devon Moran won tonight. Ricky Thornton could have got him, but Devon Moran won tonight. And I think that's because of the system set up. What we're talking about right now inhibits victory, inhibits success. These bigger paying events and not necessarily catering to a championship organization or a group that can afford to run your entire tour, and we're going to franchise you and make sure you're taking care of elite people. It's not about groups over there. Yeah, they have their little draft every year where people go World Outlaws or Lucas Oil. But at the end of the day, a guy can skyrocket onto that scene, and with how much they pay, night in and night out, Flow nights, Lucas Oil nights, World of Outlaw nights, one-off nights, Mars nights, a guy can jump onto one of these national scenes and maybe pop a few wins off, and now all of a sudden he's organically established a national fandom. He's organically established national support to go and run one of your big tours. And it ain't just about, that's what I have to do to survive. Because I see that as the scenario in the sprint car world. That's why I think your Brent Markses and some of these other the Ricos, the wild gunners out there that the late model world used to have. Now they've done something different a little bit to get to what they're at now. But I think that's why you don't really have these lone gunners out there that are contenders to win races. What's the benefit? I said it on my show the other day. If that was your payouts, 20 and 25 and 30 and 40 and 50,000 here and 70,000. I mean, I don't want to run down their schedule right now, but if that was your setup in the sprint car world, what PA driver is going to sit on his fucking porch and say, I can make so much more I can make just as much sitting here on the porch in PA? They wouldn't say that because they couldn't. There's no real driver in late model racing who's seeing these payouts on the national level and saying, I can just stay in my regional area and make just as much, being just as good. Illinois, where they're racing, is pretty close to a Pennsylvania for the late model world. That's one of the hotbeds of the industry for the late model for the late model class of the country. If you get to going good there, you don't just stay there running local because it benefits you so much to race traveling. Now, one of the big differences I would say in that travel schedule is the sprint cars nationally travel. They go to California a little bit more than your late model tours. They'll go to New Mexico. They'll go to Dodge City, Kansas. They go down to Texas. I think, the late models have attempted to go down to Texas a couple times, but the sprint cars do tour. Now, the sprint cars don't, hinder in the Midwest or the Southeast as much. Obviously, they have their Volusia, and then they do a little scurry to Talladega and Magnolia, and that's pretty much all we see from sprint car racing in the Southeast. But when you go look at these Lucas Oil, and obviously Canada's coming up with the sprint cars as well, so they're going to Canada now. So West Coast, Canada, Washington's, all the way down to Volusia, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona for high limit. So it is a little harder to do that, but you think that would also incentivize them to pay more to make it a little easier, but they're all just putting it in the back end with the group. It's all about the group, the clique. Join us and we will take care of you. But my point there with the traveling is, late models, if you want to go national, they go to PA. Yeah, how far west do they go? Eagle? How far? I think they go to Minnesota. They frequent. Don't they have a Kansas race, or do they not have a Kansas? I guess Lucas Oil's Missouri, right? They do some Southeast stuff, but how far is it from, Iowa to Tennessee or Georgia? It's not Pennsylvania to California. It's not Ohio to New Mexico. So you almost would think that the sprint car world would be taking care of the group and taking care of the outside influences as well. And then they worry or try to figure out why they don't have more cars at the races. If you're financially looking at the racing world and your kid's coming up, which financial decision is easier to make a living or make good money running? Period. Is it a super late model or is it a sprint car? Which one's more riskier? Oh, we definitely know it's the sprint car, right? Physically, for sure. So you would think that would equate to overall better pay, especially when that's been the billboard this entire couple years with high limit coming in and all that. But we're still watching the late models run for 25K and 20K and 30K every single night. Every single night. And they're still running for 12 in the World of Outlaws. And I think high limit's running for 10 sometimes. Maybe I could be wrong. Don't quote me there. I think it's 10. Is it 10, guys? I can't remember. Is it 10? I'm not sure. Any thoughts on the new post? I was going to go to the chat, but if that's all y'all are saying, that's crazy. Yeah, 25K at Farmer City. I believe that's tomorrow. 30K at Fairbury. I believe so. Anyways, I'm not going to read y'all stuff. The sprint car racing world, though, once again, I've always said late models are bigger, but sprint cars are more mainstream. They were at the Hershey gathering, Hershey Sprint Car Experience there at the Milton Hershey, I believe it's university or something like that, school for kids, something along the Milton Hershey School. And they had them all lined up, introducing them to new people. That was really great, really grand. World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series making this post on Facebook. And then, of course, last night you had Michael Buddy Kofoid pick up the win. Look at that trophy they were saying. It's pretty cool. This is posted by Junior Anthony on the Facebook. Interesting. Of course, Michael it was weird to see the sprint car racing last night, to be honest with you. It was very weird and odd to see because the night started out like, holy shit, the PA posse is about to whoop the damn Outlaws' ass. Then, of course, you know, David Gravel and all the Outlaws come to draw for the dash, and the Outlaws end up being 1-2 on the pole. Now, I know David was very upset about us catching him with this two-way communication in his helmet. And he's made jokes about it, came on the show and tried to deflect of what he's actually doing. I'm still not letting it go. I'm laughing as I say this because the post was so damn funny. He probably enjoys it, though. He enjoys it because he's on top of his game. He's on top of the world. You know, maybe if he was the sixth best driver, if he was back there, you know, where Donnie's at right now, he'd probably be extremely pissed, you know. But since he's doing so well, it's almost like to call him a cheater is like words of affirmation, you know, at this point. But I've said this in the past, guys. And when you go watch David Gravel draw for that NOS energy drink dash, he spends a long time in that canister. Once again, I've always said, you know, y'all are thinking, oh, they know which number's which. No. Weighted chips. Because all these numbers are chips, right? They're like chips. They're like poker chips almost. You can weight them differently. Can you not? If I was to close my eyes and I picked up a chip, a poker chip that was light, and the same shape, and I picked up one that was heavy, I don't care if I could see what I'm picking up. If I know the heavier of the two is the one or the two, I can feel that difference. We can feel that difference. It's like when you put on boxing gloves. If you put on an 8-ounce glove versus a 10, a 12, a 14, or a 6, if you put on an 8-ounce glove on one arm, if I close my eyes, you put an 8-ounce glove on this hand and a 12-ounce glove on this hand, I'm going to, without opening my eyes, I'm going to be able to know, without you telling me, which one is the heavier glove. And I've said this in the past about the chips, about certain drivers getting so lucky, about David Gravel. Now we can say digging in there for 20 minutes, trying to find that heavy chip, aren't you, David? High limit. The whole full circle there, David, is the high limit. All about the poker chips, and the Outlaws are just laughing. If they only knew. If they only knew what we're doing with their chips. So, I don't know if that's true or not. But regardless, back to the, I'm just 100% kidding. Is what I just said is like so conspiracy theory nuts. I'm just kidding. It was very interesting to see how strong the Outlaws were consistently throughout the night. And maybe that's where the difference is, the consistency. And Gravel talks about that being on the tour period, is you got to be consistent all the time. And even though Macedo was falling back early, and even though Gravel and these other guys are getting handed by 3 or 4 of these PA guys, by the time the A main came around, it's like those Outlaw guys consistently just gained on it. They fell behind in qualifying, maybe didn't have that great of a heat race, but the rest of the night, and we could give a lot of credit to the crews on this, the crew chiefs, crews, people around the driver, the teams in general. They all just slowly got better. What was it? Logan Schuchart, 20th to 9th. Macedo, I don't know where he started. I can't think of it off the top of my head. It was like 16th or 15th and up to 4th or something like 3rd. Or no, yeah, 4th. Macri, I mean, he came on strong. So that Macedo had to be 5th or 6th. Macri came on strong because he passed David Gravel there at the line for 3rd. So even though the Outlaws consistently came on strong, in the majority sense, Dietz still gave a hell of a run to Kofoid. And then Macri still came through the field extremely well. But I did think it was interesting how some of those other outlier teams outside of your Dietz, outside of your Macri, even Dietrich, unfortunate for him. I can't believe I said that. But it did seem like those other outlier teams that nobody really had on their radar. But wow, look what they're doing to the Outlaws after the heat races. Those guys slowly went back, and slowly that cream rose to the top. It was very interesting. I don't know how it's going to go at Williams Grove. Like we were talking about with Jacob, or I think it was Jacob, or no, David. Seems like, Lincoln, the PA posse should do better there because the equipment on that big half mile is really going to show through with the Outlaw teams. It's really going to get some momentum. It's really going to build. It's really going to go forward on those big straightaways and those technical corners. Equipment matters a lot there at the big tracks, and it doesn't even matter if it's Williams Grove. Williams Grove, I would say, luckily for the regional teams, is a shorter track or is a flatter track, a little technical. I would say it's probably one of the most technical tracks in the country with how fast you are going and how much you have to slow down and hit marks and drive. It's one of those more technical half-mile race tracks. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And then, of course, tomorrow, the watchworldofoutlaws.com. Watchworldofoutlaws.com. Tomorrow's race is going to be free. I know some people were saying that there was a rain threat or some kind of threat for weather, but that's just not the case. From my people that I'm talking to up there in Pennsylvania, everything's a good green and go at the Williams Grove race tomorrow, and you're going to be able to catch it for free. If you have DIRTVision, don't have to worry about what we're talking about right now. But this Racer TV is going to have the World of Outlaw race tomorrow night on for free. The DIRTVision, and I would think the World of Outlaw, YouTube and Facebook channels and Twitter are all going to be broadcasting the Williams Grove World of Outlaws versus the PA Posse at the Williams Grove. So that's going to be very interesting to see how that goes tomorrow. Any rebuttals before we get into the subject of the night? Any rebuttals? Is your lip that way because OD? No. My lip is that way because when I was born, I had the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck. And the nerves on, was it this one? I don't even know. I don't even pay attention. Nerves over here are severed. So that's why. Some people have it. Sylvester Stallone, same kind of deal. Hey, Rocky. It's the other lip. It's the other side of the lip, though. So Gerard Butler, the main actor from the movie 300, has the same lip area as I do. It's the same thing. It's halfway common in the world today. So It's halfway coming. But anyway, did you hit 70%? I did not. No. Into the topic of the scenario. We had our posts come across the, I had these texted to me. I didn't necessarily see them myself. With Tim Crawley being very upset about our video the other day. We'll get to the details of that. You also had Laura Crawley make some big posts about bashing and rainouts and all that. Very interesting. This is not the first time that Tim and Laura Crawley have been vocally against something I said on my show. In the past, it's been about other things. We'll talk about that here in just a second. But on our show the other day, it was the BS Stops Here show, I believe. And it was Friday. I think it was Friday after the first High Limit event. In fact, I'm almost 100% sure that was the day. The nut butter, the rainbow nut butter, had made national headwaves after we had it on the show the night before. Actually, I think this was Thursday because it was after the High Limit race. Yes, I believe it was Thursday after the High Limit race. I'm not going to look it up. But regardless, Rainbow Nut Butter had sent us some product, which is a sponsor of Reese Moran. Rainbow Nut Butter sent us the product, said, hey, give us a shout out if you want. We love what you do on your channel. You always stick up for the little teams in the local areas and all this stuff. It's great to hear what you say about Reese. It's very important. Very, very, we appreciate it. We'll send you some of this. We like your shows, blah, 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 blah. So they send that to me and I get to it on a Wednesday. We talk about it on the show Wednesday night. And then Thursday comes along. And Reese Moran runs decently well in his heat race. And somehow, when they pick him. Obviously, most of them, I think they're all random most of the time. He gets picked to do the interview with Tony LaPorta on the front straightaway. And Kyle Busch asks about Rainbow Nut Butter. What's that? And then Rainbow Nut Butter gets all this attention in the interview. Then next thing you know, Rainbow Nut Butter is being delivered to the announcer's booth and is being basically hit the marketing lottery in this scenario. Now, of course, I think it was either Wednesday or the Tuesday, the day before, something like that. 67 Speedway had rained out their shows that High Limit was scheduled to go to before TMS. So we're on the show talking about this extremely lucky scenario. And I mean, it was extremely, I think that's pretty extremely lucky to have any small business that's in Rainbow Nut Butter's position to instantly get on into the same frame as Kyle Busch, just for running well in a heat race and basically receiving I don't even know how much of a airplay on Flow Racing, one of the biggest nights at Texas Motor Speedway, NASCAR weekend. NASCAR fans are there. This is a scratch-off ticket marketing thing. And they got it. They hit the scratch-off ticket after being nice to the Chaz. Now, we've had our situations in the past, which some people mixed up our quote there when I was talking about because in the video, I was explaining when you're nice to the Chaz, look what happens to you. I'm of course, crediting God, and some people call it karma, but I call it God. God, karma, the same entities. Some people like to confuse you on that. Karma is based in astrology, but that's a whole nother demonic entity. So I'm explaining in my show how, look what happens when you're nice to me. I was trying to make that point more so than anything. But then I was also like, well, what happened this week? The Crawleys have bashed me multiple times when I've said something that I don't think was very harsh in a defensive standpoint. They've bashed me, been mean to me publicly. This isn't the first time I've seen both Tim and Laura coming after me. And I said, "What? Look at Nut Butter's nice to me. They get this. People who run 67 mean to me. They get that." That's what I said. Go read it. I mean, go look at what is being referenced here. People being mean or bashing or cruel or overly involved in a scenario to the point they have to be that way. And I said flood because the only other people who have publicly done something to the destructive points or the bashing levels that have experienced here with the Crawley regime is when Queering kicked me out of Jackson for asking him a question. And then on my birthday the next year, people were asking me, "Are you coming to the Houston High Banks Nationals?" Because it's on my birthday weekend. And I said, no. I said, you want to kick the truth teller out, God will rain down hellfire and brimstone, or just rain. And just so happens I wake up the next morning and everyone is calling me and saying, Chaz, what you said on your show, you flooded Houston's. Once again, is this why? Is it? I guess if I believe in a God, I'm out here throwing my life on the fucking line, walking up and down these highways and shit I don't have to do, talking about people who are way too sensitive. It's not like I'm ESPN talking to millions. And once again, this is a very unfortunate situation. I think not one of my first race car interviews, obviously, but one of the first interviews I remember doing with Tim Crawley was like 6 years ago. Always been cordial, always been great. Landon Crawley, when he did well at Volusia, I'd already had to defend Landon against some people who think Southern race car drivers are trash. Anyone who watches my videos, Broke Joe is known for saying that. And I got into intense arguments with him and get bashed by him. So I'm getting bashed on both fucking sides of the scenario. But regardless, bashed by him that Landon Crawley's in a ride he didn't deserve and he's going to be trash this year. That's what was said at the beginning of the year. Landon goes down there to Volusia and does pretty damn good. And I go, ha, gotcha, Broke Joe. Look what he just did. Topic goes silent for the year. Come back to I-55 last year from Australia, and we're all hanging out. Crawley's, everybody talking. Year goes on. When you're 16 in the world of outlaws, they hold you to Giovanni Scelsi standards. The year didn't go as great as most people, I would assume, who are from California and Pennsylvania and the Broke Joes of the fucking world. They expect you to be somebody if you walk up onto that national stage and swing the bat. You better hit some home runs. And it didn't go that way. Making some shows and stuff, these people don't care about making shows. They care about winning. Top fives. So regardless, the subject never really even came up. Me and Tim are doing interviews about the short track. I was pumping up 67 Speedway on my own decree last year throughout the season because I had saw Tim Crawley and the people down there doing upgrades to a facility, doing live videos from the track, running around the tractor or truck, making videos, talking about the races this weekend, things that other tracks aren't even attempting or trying to do. And I was, once again, on my own decree, promoting and upselling these things to the point, like I said, TMS, High Limit last year, the videos on the channel, I'm interviewing Tim Crawley about the races coming up at the Short Track Nationals, promoting that because I think it's a really good event. And unfortunately, that event's been rained out. Just so happens 3 weeks later, after that TMS, 3-4 weeks later, this is 5 months ago, Broke Joe and me, we come on here, we review the 2024 year. Landon's name comes up, and I say, I don't know what to say. Oh, well, you thought he was so great at Volusia. You thought he was so amazing. Well, I mean, yeah, I did. It didn't go out. It didn't work out. It didn't go GeoCell. It didn't go PA or California levels. And all I simply said was, I don't think that the South properly prepared him for the World of Outlaw tours like Pennsylvania and like California and those regions do. I don't know if that word or phrase or speech got to the Crawleys in one way or another in a in another direction, or somebody snipped and said, go watch from this minute on. Look what he said, or something along those lines, like it's kind of being done here, and mixed it up. But the next day, I'm waking up to Laura Crawley and Tim Crawley absolutely slamming my ass on social media, and I'm sitting there like, what the fuck? Got this guy saying he's going to do this, and this guy said he's going to do that. Then I get message from people down there in that area. Oh yeah, you're learning the hard way, Chaz. Anytime anybody says anything about landing down here, this is the same thing that happens to them. And I'm like, okay, this isn't a me problem. This is a them. But at that point, I felt very betrayed by a scenario that I thought I had, even in that scenario, was defending, had propped up, in their tracking facility that, once again, on my decree, decided to say or up talk about or support. And that's what we get when we try to be an ounce honest with the results that was laid ahead of us by them. I would have loved it if Landon would have done better, but it didn't. And when I'm getting pressed by people who talk about the sport, who may not be owning racetracks, but we're out here destroying our fucking lives to give this little bitty sport some entertainment, I guess I need to go start talking about football or something else where people can handle it. But if you want to get on the NFL field, which is our sport, you should be able to handle it. If you want to get on the stage and dance, everybody's going to watch and everybody's going to talk about it. Now, if you just stay local and no one knows, okay. But that's sad in itself, because now the locals don't get no attention or no credibility or nothing. I mean, back when local newspapers used to write about our sport, they were critiquing everything that happened. But now we're in the social domain. You only got three people, really, me, Dirt Tracker, and Jeremy Elliott, that got any kind of fucking traction socially. And now if we align with anything that is similar to another topic that may be getting trashed all over the online socially, we become the head figures of all this other trashing. So just like me saying what I said could be easily traversed into MVP and the trash things, or MPV and all these trash, slanderish things that were being said to Landon throughout that time. I'm not saying that, but it seems like this is undeserved, this reaction here. What? We get to Volusia this year. I see Tim. Hey, Tim, what's going on? Looks at me, walks away. We get to I-55 a couple weeks ago. We had Brad Bowden on the show. We're talking about local racing, and this has always been my problem because I just got through going to Texas and dealing with the Sam Hafer Deep Jr. situation, which still has me bothered, where I watched a guy get beat by all these other locals, and he advanced into the racing world, but the guys who were beating him didn't because of simple factors, right? Funding, whatever it is, sponsors, people believed in them, whatever, personal business funding. And I still have a problem with that, even in other regions of the world. But Brad Bowden is from the Riverside area, the South. And I was like, okay, so the times I went down the Riverside, I had seen you run just as good, if not better, than Landon. And don't you think that guys running on local regions, if they're doing better than another guy, that should be the one who's up next? That's just me baiting them in to try to bash Landon, when I'm simply just saying, hey, there's other guys out there who are just as good as the guy who's trying to be pushed. We need to stop. We really need to stop the pushing idea and let the results speak. Let the results speak. Hell, I just went to try to do shooting a basketball. 100 out of 100, did 62 of 100 in my first try. Broke Joe looks like he's going to smoke me. Okay, he's better. He's beat. But that's the point I was trying to make about local racing success, projecting you into next levels of success, more so than just you race local and then you get opportunities and you move up. Because if you do not have that local, and I think most people would agree with this, If you aren't spanking everyone's ass in the local area and you try to move up, then you may not do as good as Gio Scelzi. If you aren't waxing everyone in your region, what do you think's going to happen up there? What happened up there? So regardless, Laura Crawley went to bash me after that. So at this point, we got 3 bashes. They can say it was a half bash, I guess, with the Brad Bowden deal. But the other ones I see are uncalled for. And maybe the one pushing away is, Volusia, fuck you, walk away. Maybe this is just half as well. But at this point, I feel like so supportive. Defensive, just a little true to the scenario. Complete 180 trash me all over Facebook. That's a real spit in the face. Pretty bad. So, let me just say this, like our phone call me and Tim Crawley had last night. How did we go from interviewing as friends at TMS 6 months ago to me laughing or happy or using the example of your rainout as a example of bad luck for a reason? How did we do that? How did that switch? I'm explaining to you why it switched for me. And once again, these bashings and everyone who's been watching my shows, they know all these things. The people watching know these things. We've documented. We showed the photos of the post. We showed all these things. Everyone's watching who matters. And those that don't are watching as well. But they always say the good ones play above the noise. Play above the noise. So once again, Nut Butter randomly says, "Hey Chaz, we like you. And thanks for saying these nice things about this driver you think's coming up good. We support him. Here's some of our product, and we just want to send up something for you for being nice and for doing things or just talking about our guy, whatever. Here you go." Which Reese Moran also was one of those people who got a fucking right rear from Sam Haferteep Jr. down there in I-37 for no reason at all. But here's a free product. Next night, Kyle Busch is doing a 30-minute spread on their product. Good luck. Other side, kick me out of your track for just asking a question, Flood. Bash me for 6 months, rain out on a big date you need. It's that simple. That statement. But now we're here. A boxing match for charity. So, Tim Crawley called last night. Very, very upset. Oh, extremely. He had originally just texted, and after a few texts back and forth, this ain't, he calls. He's fucking pissed. There's an old Tim Crawley that I know. I grew up watching this son of a bitch. Him, Gary Lee Meyer, Gary Wright, old Bobby Sparks' car, Mark Ward, all these Eddie Gallagher's, all this stuff over there, Big name growing up. Hell, Travis Rowlett in the Tweety car, or hell, Tommy Estes Jr., you were still getting around back then, too. Well, I'm probably forgetting a few damn names at the time, but hell, the Shop 41 car came along there with the, I think Travis Rowlett was in it. Who was in there before Jason Johnson? I can't remember who was actually in that 40. Steve McMackin's the one who first drove that 41 that you see on the World Outlaw Tour. Steve McMackin was a local driver down there in Dallas, a modified driver, but he won the Devil's Bowl Championship first year out in that 41. The same 40, the lineage of the 41 you see with Carson Macedo goes all the way back to Greenville, Texas. The Shop 41, which became a good ASCS 360 car in that area, where a local one year, I believe it was Jason racing the car at the time, he got injured, I believe, racing at Bloomington in a Gummont Series machine, or Gummont Series race, and a local around there running small wing 360s, a guy named Jeff, we called him the Rocket Man Day, subbed one night forum at a Speed Week, ASCS Speed Week, back when ASCS was 60 cars, ASCS Speed Week event at the Paris Motor Speedway in Paris, Texas. And Jeff Day got in this car for the first time ever in his life and won the fucking race. Outran Gary Wright, Mike Peters, Aaron Beringhill, Terry Grays, Gary Lee Myers. I'm pretty sure Tim was even there. So this is a person that I've known for a while. And yeah, he's known for whooping some ass at the pitting areas. I haven't been oblivious to this the entire time. But in his opinion, there has been a calming of that individual. But due to the things I have been saying, that person is coming back to life. The grave digger is getting out of the dirt and is ready to whoop some ass. And it's going to be my ass up and down the racetrack. Or my ass somewhere up and down the. I don't know if we're doing a race off. I thought it was a boxing match, but hey, baby, that's a better idea. But regardless, it gets into situations of why he's mad. He's not worried about the Landon comments, even though that's what spurred the comments that I had given. He's more upset that I went after his track getting a rain out. And he was kind of confused with the flood term. He said, you wanted the flood and the rain out. I'm like, no, the flood's a whole nother situation. I had to explain that situation, but this is two different situations. And he ended up saying, so you're saying that because we made these posts bashing you those 1 or 2 times that this rain out is because of that? I said, that's exactly what I was saying on the shows. Oh, that's nuts. Okay, well, if it's cuckoo for nut butter, then it is. But that's what I'm saying. And then unfortunately or fortunately, this shit has been happening. I can't think of anybody who has actually done me wrong that is having any type of success in multiple facets, especially if it comes to something they really care about. That's where it really gets them. So he's upset about that. Has nothing to do with Landon. That's cool. I'm upset about the whole bashing on the back end of the Landon comments. Laura's in the background. I'm like, hey, we kind of got past the screaming and stuff. I'm like, and Laura's just trying to say, I'm a mother and I care about my driver. And I'm like, Laura, you're the most vocal mother in the whole damn sport. All these people that I talk about and Jeremy Elliott talk about and Dirt Tracker talk about, yeah, I talk about them a little bit differently, but some people find that it's entertaining. Some people find the jokes and the fun and everything as a fresh breath of air. This isn't a damn puppet on a screen, people. But I talk about all these different people in an entertainment way, and their mamas and daddies aren't losing their fucking mind at me. You're one of the most vocal moms in motorsports by far. Like, I don't know if this would go over well in like PA or California. It might only go well because it's down there in a very small bubble of the racing world. Very, extremely, unbelievably small bubble of the racing world. But Tim was more so upset because, at least this is my interpretation, he is killing himself, and this has been a soft spot in my heart for 7 years, because this is where it's always started. He is killing himself at that fucking racetrack, doing what they've done. This is why I was given the credit all last year, trying to help. And I come along and bash them on a race night they need. They need these nights, like a high limit race, to go through, to keep going. And at that point, it's true. That is true. But everything else we've explained here is true as well. Unless I actually did cause the rain to come down. But outside of that, we talked some more. And we did agree to fight at the Ralph Henson Memorial, July 12th at Texarkana 67 Speedway. Now, this event here, going to be the Elite Outlaw Sprint Car Series, Mod Lights, Vintage Vroom Modified, is 410 series. But the vintage or Vroom Modifieds are going to be there. And the Wing Modifieds that just last week we were talking up and making such a big deal nationally. Making such a big deal about these wing modifieds, showing the national audience these things for the first time ever, showing Cowtown footage and Bo Rowden and Keith Green and Paul White and, Johnny Miller, where he came up, Gary Wright running them wing modifieds and all this stuff. And come to find out at this event, Gary Wright is going to be unretiring. The Gary Wright, potentially the greatest Texas race car driver of all time. Aaron Reitzel's making a charge for it. I'll tell you that. He's doing very well in the national scene in a very competitive era of our industry. Gary Wright is apparently coming out of retirement this night to run a winged modified at this event. Not only that, the Vroom modifieds that you see here as a division, Sammy Swindell. These are the original modifieds that Sammy Swindell and them all raced on at Riverside and stuff. Sammy Swindell is going to be racing one of these vintage modifieds. I wouldn't be surprised if it's either the 91 or the 44 that Sammy, I believe it was the 91 was the modified. I think the 44 was his sprint car that he started out in. But the Vroom modified, Sammy Swindell. And then you have the 410 sprint car. So this is an amazing racing event. Gary Wright coming out of retirement, running a wing modified, which people need help on understanding what they are. Now, they're a shell of themselves, what they used to be, but they were really badass. Sammy Swindell in the original modified division, that's going to be badass. Those cars aren't slow, and Sammy ain't going to drive them slow, I don't think. And then you have the 410 sprint cars on top of that. And then, of course, me and Tim Crawley, I think we talked on the phone for a while, three rounds at 3 minutes. He wants to just get it over with quick. He's like, you're not going to last. You're fat and all this. No, he didn't say that. But we did talk a bit about different things. And so we got off the phone last night making this match at July 12th at the Texarkana 67 Speedway, fighting one-on-one in a ring on the front, not the front straightaway, but the front entryway right there. Apparently they got a great spot where it can go, and we can beat the hell out of each other and figure it all out. Now, the unfortunate part about this is I don't know anymore. Because the things he was explaining on the phone, about the local area promotion or his promoting and the difficulty it is to get crowds to the racetrack, and talking about, even when he was mixing in some land and stuff, about the dangers of the sport. There still is that inherited danger of somebody going in the corner and not coming out of it. And that's been the hardcore talking points of my shows since day fucking one. October 27, 2017. You can go research my stuff on the Chaz on Facebook. Go look it up. It's 1,800 videos. But that was my talking points. The risk, the talent, the skill that these drivers have, even on your local level, is just as difficult as a NASCAR driver. Maybe not Kyle Larson, but it's definitely just as difficult as Chase Briscoe. Is Chase Briscoe not the greatest example in NASCAR of how an average local racer could be a NASCAR star and win the races? But it isn't receiving that same notoriety. It isn't receiving that same respect. And in my argumentative, very passionate, angry ways, it's not getting any recognition unless the driver goes in the corner and don't come out. Unless they're Clausen. Oh, they're great in our little bubble, but nobody cares. They go in that corner. Now they're on ESPN. Jason Johnson, he was great. We all loved him in our little bubble. The world outside of us don't care to come and watch the race. We can barely fill fucking 10,000 people at most of these events. Even on the outlaw level. Barely fill 10,000 people at these events. For the best we have to offer. But the moment they fucking die, they all want to care. So, and once again, as far as local racing and local tracks, what other fucking guy's going out, dude? What other fucking guy in this whole dirt media is going south, is going to the West Coast, is going in the BFEs of Australia? I went to ACT for crying out loud. Gladstone. Gimpy. I mean, I've been in some of the most aesthetically pleasing environments trying to shine lights on local stars and little racetracks that need the attention to fucking survive. And in essence, while having that discussion with Crawley last night, hearing his extreme passion, not over only just over a rainout, but how much that rainout affected his life down there. Because once again, another thing in 2017-18 was bitching about the tracks, the local racing tracks, the local stars not getting credit, the local stars versus these big series, the local promoters, that is, versus the big series promoters. The series promoters live off the backs of the tracks. If the tracks don't stay surviving by these local promoters eating shit all year, they don't have a fucking facility to live on, and a series is always in the green. Because I've dealt with them. I've been on the promotional side. The tracks inherit the risks. They're the ones paying the purses. Now, on the Outlaws and some of these others, not the late models. I mean, sometimes the Outlaws are doing shared shows. I get that. But most of your regional series, I guarantee the Elite Outlaw series ain't paying this purse, for instance, when they come to this track. All these other regional and, regular series, Power Eyes and IRAs, and most of the time the tracks are the ones paying the series. So these big series that everybody loves to go watch, these big tours, the risk they have is very little in comparison to the tracks and the local promoters. And without the local promoters surviving, you don't have a track to go and race at. And then, of course, after 2017-18, streaming came along, which talk about the least of investment and the most return. Because most of the time, the series, they're just getting paid a measly couple, maybe $1,000 or $2,000 in some kind of series sanction fee. And that's supposed to pay the person running the series and their scorekeeper and their people who help run the show. This is how things happen in the back. This is what I got to learn before I even went out here running my mouth. I got to learn the back stages and the front stages. And then I got to learn how the elites fuck around. And that's why I got so vocal, because I was like, ain't nothing I'm going to do working under this umbrella going to change the way that sumbitch opens. I'm going to go outside this umbrella and help everyone around it understand how this umbrella is working. And then maybe advocacy can make the difference. So, to enclose, once again, fight was made. But as I think about it more, I don't like what I said. Do I justify what I say? Can I justify what I say or said with the hindrance, the overzealous, in my opinion, egotistically maniac responses to the things I light-footedly said? Yeah, I could justify it and say, yeah, that's why I was being an asshole, or that's why I was laughing. But the actual heart of why Tim Crawley is that extremely mad, I extremely sympathize with, because that's been the foundation to the building for me. That's what I've been fighting for 7 years, although I ain't done shit and do all this and blah, blah, blah. And maybe it took this scenario, even though, once again, fight scheduled, I ain't bitching out. But, and if he still wants it, we can still do it, if that's going to help. And honestly, a race like this deserves the attention. I mean, you got Gary Wright in a wing modified. That is must-see, in my opinion. And then Sammy Swindell in a vintage, he's going to rip that sumbitch down. And then, of course, 410's still going to be there. Regardless, if I have to go out here and get a little roughed up and hurt to bring some attention to this, because I'm sure we talked about, there's tons of people want to see me get my ass whooped or fought or fight. And there's a lot of people I really want to show that I can fight. because a lot of people don't think I can. And there's a lot of people I really want to show that I can. But I'm not sure that I want it to be at the expense of the emotion of why Tim Crawley is mad. If it has nothing to do with the Landon scenario, as he says, and it has to do with this rainout scenario, then I'm not so sure that he needs to be the example. And I'm not so sure that my platform, because once again, I mean, this was popular down there in Arkansas where he made his post and all that, but I've had one person message me about it, and I don't even know who it is. A couple people down there that I know, I messaged, I said, hey, is this thing getting traction where he made this post? And they all made these. He's like, yeah, I've had like 3 people talk to me about it, but nobody cares. Some fan of mine made a little video, and after I told him about the scenario, and he made a little video of the Chaz doing a little, hold on, let me see if I could show you this. He made a little video where it was a joke where the Chaz was fighting, let's see if I can. He made a little joke video.
We're here.
Look at this.
Very quick, very effective. And we're here. Very quick, very effective.
I mean, I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny. Very supportive.
Very quick, very effective.
We got some very supportive people who think that the Chaz is to the degree of, which is good. They think I'm to the degree of some badassery to where it would be just
very quick, very effective.
That easy to handle, Tim Crawley. But
very quick, very effective.
I don't know if this is, but regardless, I said one of the oddest fan videos that have ever been sent. I posted this video, like earlier today, like at 1 or 2 o'clock, and it's got 2 likes and 1 share, and the 1 share is me. It has no comments. What I'm saying is, like, no one cares. The bubble that is so small down there is unbelievable. How big the little TP, I'll call it a TP, of race fans in the South. The racing community in the South is a TP. Yeah, it isn't to me. That's why I went down there. That's why I've covered things. That's why I've went out and tried to make it bigger than ATP and give it some clout and notoriety and respect. This race coming up, this Ralph Henson Memorial, you got Gary Wright in a wing modified, Sammy Swindell in a vintage modified, and 410 sprint cars. That's worth a big thing of the acknowledgement. That's worth Knoxville, Eldora, event-based attentions. But they're up here at least in high school stadiums. I mean, it's not giant. They're up here in a little arena at least. Down there, it's a fucking TP. Nobody cares about what y'all are doing and talking. Y'all are going to whoop the Chaz's ass. You want to box the Chaz. No one fucking cares. Why am I acknowledging something that don't matter? I mean, even this post, it was, I mean, come on, 34 people liking it? Maybe it's up to 100 or something now. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to trash the idea. Once again, I'm on board. I'm signed up. But I don't know if that's the way to go about it. Because the reasons he's wanting to fight, once again, I could justify what I said, but the reasons he's wanting to fight me, I would fight myself. Because the reasons he's frustrated and upset about things that are happening down there in the Texas and Southern racing scenes is what encouraged me to start running around and talking all this shit. It's what encouraged me to try to elevate the reputation of the sport. Now, some people are blinded when Kyle Larson comes and says something to you. And you know, well, if Kyle don't like him, well, I don't either. And y'all got all y'all's blinders on by love. That's y'all's fucking problem. We showed the evidence the other day. Our first video, our videos we were making on our page back in 2017, we weren't talking a fucking thing of Kyle. We reach 500,000 people, and Kyle comes in there and trashes us dirt people in comparison to the NASCAR guys. And the only reason he came in there, I think, is because I had an idea where I wanted local racers to go up against NASCAR guys in like factory stocks. And let's do a little race where it's NASCAR guys versus just local jokels in factory stocks and see how it works out. And I matched his ass with Justin Whitehead. Go ask Zach Clark what I'm talking about. Zach Clark witnessed this. Oh, yeah, Texarkana. You know who that is, right? Zach Clark's a huge fan of mine. Great supporter. He loves it. Gives tons of respect for what I've done. Justin Whitehead witnessed, or Zach Clark witnessed this happen. And Kyle, I think, went and researched who Justin Whitehead was and saw he might get exposed in front of everybody's ass. There ain't no fucking way Kyle Larson's beating Justin Whitehead in a factory stock. Won't happen ever. But the world around us don't know that. That's why they don't come to your fucking stands to watch the race. They don't know that there's a guy on your little local fucking track better than Kyle in this division, in this car, at this race facility. The other guy's lined up around the block to kiss his ass. The other guy, nobody gives a fuck. Who is that? Maybe if Justin Whitehead flips in one of your factory stocks, burns to death, and dies, then you'll have a news reporter out there or somebody to say fucking grace as he burns. This is what I was talking about. And it's slowly grown. Slowly. This message has been repeated throughout the year, all throughout. But once again, these people don't watch my shows. They don't know where I'm from, what I've done, who I've been, or when my last fight was. Like I told them my last fight was actually with a Mexican drug syndicate. Oh, how did that happen? Well, I was in an apartment, and I guess, the next door neighbors weren't doing things right. We had a party too late, and cops showed up, and next day they're pissed off and saying somebody hurt their car, and the guy comes up fucking wailing me with 3 people watching and witnessing. Then when I, took my hits and pushed them away as I'm saying, hey, man, I don't know what you're talking about. Pow, pow, pow. I didn't know what you're talking about. I'm covering up. Finally backs up. You sure nobody did it? He goes in his apartment, gets a gun, comes out, saying, you sure you didn't do it? I was like, no, dude, I didn't do it. No, nobody I know did that. Then come to find out they have drug issues. So they're pissed. They're more, why I say Mexican drug syndicate is they're pissed off that something I did brought cops to the facility, to their area. And they're just trying to do business. So they made an excuse to punish me. That's how it works. Confusion is what catches someone off guard. And it's always the punch you don't see coming that knocks you out. So, luckily I didn't get knocked out. I'm decently tough, believe it or not. But regardless, these are the hardcore foundational reasons I talk, the reasons I speak, the reason I do, is in defense of what Tim Crawley's mad about. Now, these other things, if anything comes out of this, whether I get my ass whooped, whether we work together to make this race, this Ralph Henson Memorial big, even if he don't want to do the boxing match, says he listens to this and says, Chaz, I was wrong. Maybe they'll ever say that. I'm not sure. I misunderstood. Or, no, will we ever get that? I don't know. Say he doesn't want to do it. Hey, talk to some sponsors. We don't want to do that anymore, really. I would still like to help this event be huge. Because this event deserves to be huge. Gary Wright in a wing modified. That's going to be amazing. Sammy Swindell. Hell, to fight in front of Sammy and Gary Wright would be amazing. Win, lose, or draw. But, once again, I just don't know. I don't know. I've never really got into fights for the wrong reasons. I've been in a lot of fights. I remember one time, it's still in my head because it's the only time I almost got in a fight where I was the bad one. Though I was the one doing the wrong. Truly wrong. I was on a basketball court. We were all playing. I was getting a little cocky because I was making shots after shots after shots. And I run by a guy and I threw the ball really hard at him. Said, hey, check this shit in, bitch, or something, shit talking. And he got real mad and he said, no, fuck you, and threw the shit right at me. He's like, you want some, motherfucker? And I was like, getting ready. But then I was like, I did it. I was wrong. I didn't have to throw that fucking ball at him and shit talk him like that. And I did not engage the fight. But that's not how it's always gone. But regardless, if I can remove myself from the scenario and remove the spit in the face I felt 6 months ago, six months ago, so spit in the faces that I felt by more than one person, not just one, but him and Laura, and then the continual. I can remove that then and not justify the spit in the face, because it was a spit in the face. It was a very big spit in the face to joke about a rain out. But I've always been an eye for an eye guy. And unfortunately, for other people's perspective, I don't really have any kind of history with y'all to feel sympathy for a spit in the eye and floods and all that, because y'all are financially well off. Y'all got it all great. Y'all can be nice to people anytime you want. Whereas Tim Crawley's down here, somebody I grew up watching, not necessarily idolizing. I liked other drivers too, who's literally pouring his fucking guts out on a racetrack, trying to make it. And I know how that make it fucking life goes. Trying to run racetracks. It's not fucking fun. It's not fun. The hardest job in the entire racing world is local racetrack promoter. And here's the other deal. There's some really good setups, and this is possibly why the South is trash for racing. I'm in Iowa right now. I could walk to Knoxville Raceway in less than 5 minutes. Hell, I could drive to Knoxville Raceway in under a minute to the gate. Do you know what Knoxville Raceway is? It's a county fucking fairground. Do you know what's all over these fucking hundreds of tracks in Iowa? They're all county fucking fairgrounds. Do you know what a lot of these Midwest tracks are? Illinois Speed Week? They're all county fucking racetracks. Do you know what's not really in the southern part of the Midwest of America for dirt track racing? County fairgrounds. I think State Fair Speedway was one. The original Devil's Bowl in the Cotton Bowl Stadium, where the big Texas State Fair, that was originally, I believe, where the Devil's Bowl was. I think it was a fairground originally. I'm not sure. I'd have to rethink that, or was that two separate tracks? I'm not sure. But the South is all privatized ownership. All the racetracks is all privately owned things. I think Hutchinson just came back. That's a state fairground. You get up into Missouri and northern Kansas, you got some, like Dodge City Raceway Park. That's Dodge City is in control of that thing. There's a lease to a guy, but there's still city support for the facility. County fairground tracks in the Midwest and other areas, mowing the yards, you don't got to do it. Plumbing is wrong in the bathroom, city officials and janitors come out and fix the shit and flush the commodes. Electrical's bad, they fix it. Whereas down there in the South, with privately owned facilities like Tim Crawley, like everyone else down there, something's wrong in the bathroom, Tim Crawley's going and getting a fucking plunger and shit kicking it himself. The yard needs to be mowed, better have a fucking mower. Something's wrong with the electrical, there's some more expenditure. And then to add, in most areas of the country where football and baseball in particular are huge, you really don't have a huge racing community. Baseball in particular, because it's the same time. Down there in Texas, when high school football starts, they were literally basically in the schedule. They can't get people to the tracks. By the hundreds, they can't get people to the tracks. So the area down there is devastated for a lot of reasons. I think private ownership is one of the base reasons. Lack of county fairground racetracks, so it's not around when people grow up. Nobody's driving by them all the time and knowing what they are, and they're not having little carnivals down there at near the racetrack and shit. County fairs not happening at the racetrack with the middle of it, and little stupid tractor pulls, and people are having fun and crawling. It's not happening. The natural promotion for the sport in the South is a fucking sham. The reason it used to be bigger is because people used to respect it. And that's the other thing as to why I may not want to do this. I've always sit here and bitched. Like, guys, we gotta make these drivers fucking icon stars. We gotta help the public understand how hard it is to actually drive that 410 around. It's harder than fucking Cadillac in that cup car around TMS. We got guys over here that can whoop that TV man's butt up and down the facility. Kyle Larson versus Justin Whitehead in the factory stock. Who's winning that 100 out of 100 times? If the world knows these things, you start getting people to show up. Because in America, one of my sayings I said in 2017 that people loved, in America, we don't give a fuck about Robin. We want to watch Batman. We want to watch the best. We don't want to see the XFL. We want to see the NFL. We don't want to see NBA G League. We want to see the NBA. So if you're not projected, if what you have going on isn't projected as the best of the fucking best, or at least they could be the best of the best, people don't give a fuck. It's not AAA baseball and all these other excuses. Baseball, everybody knows about it. You got to make a bigger splash than that. And then on the heels of me preaching and talking like this, I always would also say, we got to stop making it where the only time this fucking sport gets any attention is because somebody dies, or we're fiddle fucking fighting each other on the front straightaway like a bunch of fucking clowns. That's your selling point? Jerry Springer is your selling point, Dirt World. Jerry Springer. So, reason number 2, I may not want to do this. Hypocrisy. In multiple facets. And hell, both reason 1 and 2 is hypocrisy. I'm sitting here spitting on his race due to what they said to me, but I'm spitting on the shit that I've been standing up for the entire time. And then I'm halfway agreeing to I agreed to a boxing match that is just as hypocritical. Or I've been sitting back saying, stop celebrating Jerry Springer, white trash, trailer park shit. Oh, well, Chaz, you get on your shows and cuss. Oh, so does Joe Rogan. He's not in the same category. All these people do. You're just a hater. Fuck off. You just don't like what I have to say. You're offended. Cursing don't mean shit. Are you going to grow up to not cuss? Are you worried about your kids? Sorry, ma'am. Your kid's growing up to cuss like all of us. Welcome to the one authentic fucking show in the game of racing, I guess. That's why people tune in. They know they're not getting a fucking sham. So, once again, hypocrisy on the other side, because for me to go out here and make the show of the night, seeing me and Tim Crawley whoop each other's ass into the fucking guts of our minds as an attraction point is literally hypocritical, because I've been sitting here trying to say the attraction needs to be the drivers, the skill, the ability, the elite level of displayment on the racetrack. Not two drivers getting together and coming off a four and smashing into one another and getting out and fucking fiddle fucking Jerry Springer and on the front straightaway. Now, people have been failing at trying to promote the other way, but that's just because I think they've been doing it wrong. I mean, I had a great time promoting over there at Dodge City and Hutchinson, had some very big successes. I think it's possible the other way. I think it's possible, like, we have some big sponsors about to be jumping on here very soon because they think the way I do shit is what's going to get new people to tune into the sport. They think me getting on here, getting some drunken, getting some drinking, getting to vaping and talking and making jokes and cracking and getting serious about this subject and passionate and yelling is going to make people feel like whatever that motherfucker's talking about is important. And I think he's funny. So I can stay entertained and connected to what he's talking about because obviously it fucking matters. I mean, I could just sit here and read the results. Talk about some shock or tire thing. Okay, who the fuck cares about that? Oh, us in the sport. Okay, well, I'm not worried about us in the sport. I'm worried about making the sport bigger. That's what I'm worried about. That's why I'm out here doing what I'm doing the music videos, doing the entertainment, doing the shows, making my jokes, getting wild and out, being normal, being entertainment. Which is why, once again, this might be a reason, right? That's how I could justify it, right? The fight. The way I justify it is saying, this is how you can do it, Chaz. This is how you can get people to tune in to the Gary Wright return to racing, the Sammy Swindell. Hell, I halfway probably did it right now. I know everybody probably watching this. If we can get it to the thousands, they're like, well, fuck, I didn't know this was happening. So we already halfway promoted the show without even having the fight yet. Wow, somebody talked about something that happens in the South? Ooh, why'd he do that? Why has he been doing that? He just likes riding the coattails, I guess. Yeah, I'm riding the coattails. Some big coattails down there in the tent. Hell, it's not even a teepee. The motorsports in the South is a fucking tent compared to everything else. A fucking tent. And when you walk out of the tent and try to go race the World of Outlaws, Anyway. So it's scheduled. I mean, we agreed. I don't know if it's going to happen anymore. I don't think it's just. I think we should be working together now. I think I might deserve a contract to come down there and help them out. They need the help down there for sure. It's not cool what's happening to Tim Crawley. I've been in those rooms with people pouring their fucking guts out into something and get little fucking nothing back in return. Getting bitched out by drivers for XYZ and then barely scraping by at the end of the fucking week. And if I was in that position and there was somebody running their fucking mouth when I had a rain out on a show I needed to make money, I'd be fucking just as livid. But maybe they can be nice to me. I didn't make it rain. It just happened. We'll see. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's the situation. That's the scenario. Is anybody even around? Y'all ain't even watching this. Chaz talking about drama. Lost 40 viewers the last 25 minutes. I don't care. True or spoiled? I guess we'll go to comments. We'll see if y'all want to talk. Chaz, go to Eagle next week for the Lucas Oil Late Models 50K to win. I might do that. That is a pretty big race. I had a race. I might go to Canada. That's the other thing. Like I could plan this. I want to go to that race. I honestly want to go to this race, this Ralph Henson or whatever. That sounds awesome to see Gary Wright and Wing Modified and all that. I want to see that. Sammy Swindell and a vintage mod. I mean, if the price of admission is an ass whooping, I mean, it's almost worth it to me, honestly. But I want to see that race. There isn't too much other things happening that weekend. I don't think off the top of my head there's not really much happening. It is the weekend before the King's Royal, I think, pops off that weekend or the following weekend. July 12th. When is July 12th? Is that a midweek? Okay, yeah. The next weekend is King's Royal, I believe. Jerry Springer content. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm talking about something serious. I'm talking about people. When I'm talking to this camera and shit, I get into what I'm talking about, and I'm sorry if y'all appease or it appeases your view and pleasure, but it ain't about y'all sometimes. You know, it ain't about y'all. USAC underdog picks. I can't see it. Being in Iowa, underdog is not allowed. Underdog is not allowed. Chaz, I missed the first 30 minutes. Did you like the World of Outlaw Lincoln race last night? I thought it was very entertaining in the main. I thought that was one of the best Lincoln Speedways that for main event that the World of Outlaws has had since the Macquarie Marks battle. I thought Shea Steets did a really good job closing in late, and I did think that the Outlaws, even at the beginning of the night, were so off. They did come back on very strong to finish, and a great run by Macquarie late to get into the top three to make it look kind of like the PA dominated the Outlaws, but really, you had Macedo come through the field, get into the top 10. You had Logan Schuhart come through the field and got to 9. And I felt like the Outlaws really fought back outside of Dietz and Macquarie, put it on them pretty damn good. But you had Dietrich fall. I think you had Lucas Wolf fall. I'm trying to think of the other names who were in the dash. There was another outlier. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. Well, you could just talk to the mirror if it ain't about us. What are you talking about? It's about what I'm talking about. Everything I've been talking about and have talked about is about what I've been talking about, and then y'all comment. You don't run the show. It's the Chaz. What are you talking about? Moran won tonight and Pierce choked. I thought Ricky Thornton Jr. choked. I thought Ricky Thornton Jr. had a chance to win that race, and he fucked up. He fucked up on 2 occasions. He could have. I think Ricky Thornton Jr. choked that one. But Moran's good. And the late model field's very stout. Jonathan Davenport finished 13th after winning last night. The competition element in the late models is very, very admirable. Very admirable. We did talk about the differences in the late model and sprint car industries. It's a very intriguing. We'll probably cut that out and make that its own separate video. RTJ wouldn't try the top of 3 and 4 much. He couldn't really run it well. I don't think he could win it well. Ginger Kitty told me he'd fight you, but he is too big for you. Okay, that makes no sense at all. Not too sure what that means. But no, we had to address this. Once again, I do think it's a tent. Not a lot of people have heard about this, knew about this. We did agree to the fight at this Ralph Henson Memorial, but I don't know if it's a good idea anymore. I think I said the right things in vengeance, not the right things in morals, and I'm not sure if it's right. If we need to fight, though, to make that event big, I think that's worth it because that race down there deserves to get some attention. I know that. He'd get a great run off of 2 and take it. I thought he messed up in 1 and 2 on 2 different occasions, or he could have won that race. I thought RTJ messed up hugely in 1 and 2. Twice. Maybe 3 times. He was a little too high entering, and then even though when he got high entering, he messed up exiting as well, and that was killing him. It was killing him. Pierce did mess it up. I'm not going to give the pass to Pierce. He hit the wall and broke, but he was running the top of 3 and 4, and like you said, RTJ was kind of rolling the middle and the bottom, which I think was the smarter line. Devon Moran had the outside very much covered, and I think that's why RTJ was running the bottom, trying to make sure he had a line that he could pass Moran with. But Pierce was just, he's the top side guru, so he did make the mistakes. He did make the mistakes that broke his car. If Sheppy didn't have that flat in the heat, he was the car to beat, I think. He almost got lapped. early in the race. I think he finished 9th or 10th. Decent run, but I don't know. I feel like those other cars are stout. I mean, right now, Moran, I was gonna bitch about late models a couple weeks ago that RTJ and Pierce are just dominant and it's ruining late model action. But I did go and look at the Lucas Oil point standings, and Devon Moran's right there with RTJ. So we got to consider, even though it doesn't look like it, and people aren't trendy, they're not trendy-ish speaking about late model racing as if it's a 3-horse head of monstrosity. They're saying it's all Pierce or RTJ, Pierce or RTJ. These are the two badasses. Devon Moran's right there with them, guys. We got to really recognize this. Devon Moran is seriously right. We got to start saying this is the big three, honestly. Especially if that Lucas Oil standing sits how it does. Because I'm not sure. Is RTJ even leading the championship over there? Is he? I know when I looked, it was a tie last time. Oh, he's got the edge on him now, 25.85 to 25.15. And the thing with the late models is any night, you could have one of these other guys pop one off. Davenport, Albertson, Overton, O'Neill, Brandon Shepard, Herb, Ferguson, and that's just going down the damn Lucas Oil list. That's just going down the Lucas Oil list. I mean, look at how many contenders are right there. This is the difference between sprint cars and late models as well. Their depth. Yeah, you got 3 guys who are really good, but then you got 10 or 15 others that can win any damn night. Let's look at the late models points. It's not as tight, I don't believe. Yeah, see, that's the difference right there between Lucas Oil and the World of Outlaws. I mean, listen to who I just listed off, and then Bobby Pierce, Nick Hoffman, Ryan Gustin. I know Gustin's coming, and I think Ethan Dawson's coming too, but, I mean, we're listed. I mean, how many threats are here? I mean, Tim McCready, he's coming now. It seems like he's figured some things out, but versus the list that I just named off for you for Lucas Oil, it's no comparison. Is it? I mean, that's no comparison as far as strength of field. At all. At all. Moran will win the series title really soon. He's already there. I think he's there. I think you got to consider, if you're naming the big names in the sport right now, you got to say, you can't keep saying RTJ and Bobby Pierce. You got to start saying RTJ, Bobby Pierce, Devon Moran. That's the big 3 of this sport right now. Now, obviously, any given point in time, you could say big 4 with Davenport because he's still out there. Overton's looking stronger. I mean, you got guys looking good, but when you're talking about people dominating, really putting it on everybody all the time, like Davenport and Overton were 2 or 3 years ago, and now Ricky and Bobby have been doing the last 2, I think you need to add Devon Moran into it and say there's 3 guys right now. I think you say there's 3. Maybe if Nick Hoffman or Gustin get on a streak, but I would still put Davenport and Overton above those, and maybe even Hudson, although Hudson's really fallen off, but Albertson's getting close. He's close. See, I'm putting Garrett Albertson in the same kind of tier, as Albertson's in the tier of Gustin or a Hoffman. And then I say that there's like a tier 1. Well, you say tier 1 guys, I'm thinking you're saying Bobby Pierce, Ricky Thornton Jr., Devon Moran. And then if there's like a tier 1.5, if there's a tier 1.5, that's where you're going to find Davenport and Overton and Brandon Shepard. These are the guys we know are established. We know can be dominant, have been dominant in the sport. That's your tier 2. We'll call that tier 2. And then in your tier 3, I'm thinking you got, Hudson O'Neill, Garrett Albertson, Ryan Gustin, Nick Hoffman. That's like tier 3. And see, that's the issue, with the Outlaws right now. They got a tier 1 guy in Bobby Pierce, and then it's tier 2 or 3 in Gustin and Hoffman, in my opinion. Whereas over here in Lucas, you got the tier 1 and Ricky Thornton and Devon Moran. You got tier 1.5, you know, with Davenport, Overton, Shepard, you know, and then you still got these other guys, the Albertsons, the Hudson O'Neill, who we thought was going to be up there with the Shepards and the Davenports, but karma got him too, or God got him with that whole Ricky Thornton Jr. deal. Oh, you thought he was going to swoop in and be star guy. It didn't happen. It ain't happened. Davenport is not better than Moran, not recently. He's just not to me, guys. Well, and y'all may be subject to the late model fan base. Me being a sprint car guy, look at consistency. Yeah, big shows matter. They do. But I look at consistency. Because I was looking at Bobby Pierce and RTJ consistently making this late model sport boring as fuck. You know. And I just slept on Devon Moran. And I feel like the reason I slept on Devon Moran is I think a very big reason y'all sleep on Devon Moran. The media's talking about Pierce and RTJ all the time. They ain't really always mentioning Devon Moran in the same light. You know, you'll probably get the Davenport because he's won the million, or Overton because of what he did at the big Eldora races. And, you know, I just think that's not fair to Devon Moran. JD's good at finding rubber, that's it. Hey, man, he did grow up being an asphalt driver. Just saying. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's almost 2 hours. I feel like we covered a lot of topics. Got into the Crawley thing. Will there be a fight or not? I'm going to lean towards no. I'm going to lean towards we can find common, better ground in this than a fight, than a Jerry Springer, than a shit show. And that's what it is. Hopefully this whole debacle, me talking about it, finally acknowledging it, will give some level of I don't know, respect, anything like that. I don't know. But I'm still going to talk about Landon if something happens on the track. I'm still going to talk about whatever I'm going to talk about because it's my fucking show. And anybody who wants to come on here and try to restrict that speech will just kill me. My motherfuckers, people have died for hundreds of years for my freedom of speech. And you ain't no God. You ain't going to restrict it. You're not going to restrict it. No threat of physical violence. No threat of this, that, or the other. We're going to get you. It ain't going to stop it. It ain't going to stop my rights. My American fought for rights. Ain't going to stop it. Period. And if you tell me not to talk about something, then I might start talking shit about it more. Oh. Anyway, hopefully we can become better than that in this scenario. Hopefully. That's the offering. Devon had been on fire since January. Davenport will always be Davenport, but Devon is on fire. He is, and he's not getting the credit. There's too much talk around Pierce and RTJ. There's too much credit and talk around Pierce and RTJ, and Devon Moran's not getting the late model clout that I feel he deserves to be getting talked for and about. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I've only been to about 3 late model races in the last year because I've been so busy sprint car stuffing. And he's won almost every one. He won at Muskegon when I busted my ass in front of 15,000 people and they roared and thought it was funny. But, yeah. Regardless. Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. I do want to thank everybody for tuning in. It is just past midnight. We got stuff to do, things to go to, all a damn list of things. We got to figure out what's happening with this fight. Or are we going to halfway help the Ralph Henson Memorial? We do plan on being live before the end of the weekend on some occasions. Of course, tomorrow, once again, the free World of Outlaw show. Watch worldofoutlaws.com. If you know somebody who doesn't have DIRTVision or hasn't heard of the late model or sprint cars before, PA or anything, talk to them about it. Or if you're out watching, or I've been getting coffee from this one chick up the road every day. We've been talking, and I'm like, hey, you ever seen sprint cars? And she's like, no. Now, y'all, this is your opportunity to tell people who've never seen the sport, well, you can watch it tonight. Watch worldofoutlaws.com. It's free. This is an opportunity for all these conversations to actually pay dues. What time is it tomorrow? I'm not sure. It's the typical times. I would assume 6:15 Eastern, so that would be 5:15 Central. WatchWorldOfOutlaws.com will have it. You can go to, I think I showed you, I was YouTube and all the different World of Outlaw outlets that are going to be showing it. But yeah, WatchWorldOfOutlaws.com is where you can get the information. So if you know anybody who hasn't watched sprint car racing and they just don't, or they can't afford to buy DIRTVision without knowing what the fuck sprint cars are, this is the opportunity to show it off to those people. Tell them about it. Send them links. Tomorrow's going to be a big, if you love the sport, tomorrow's going to be a big share these links while it's happening. If you got a Facebook, a YouTube, or Twitter, share the live broadcast, get it out there. Show the world our sport tomorrow. I think it'll be very fun, very interesting. We will more than likely be here post-race. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to thank y'all for tuning in. Hopefully we can figure some things out going forward and have a bunch of enjoyment on the show. Are we going to Canada? I have a feeling we are. I have a feeling we're going to Canada, guys. Don't tell nobody. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe. Join the membership. PayPal, Venmo links in the description if you want to help the Canada trip. Or go to the website and get a t-shirt that supports us well. We love to see our merchandise out there in the world. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. We will catch you next time.
Sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. Out on the dirt ovals we play, life in the bright lights with no shade. So letting her go, letting her rip, letting her fly, tossing her in sideways, living the life, letting her ride, eyesight winning to die. Cross her up on the cushion, crossing the line, cause some drama and some bullshit they didn't like. And if they don't like the move, then we're ready to fly. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. This is how we roll, this is how we do. It's not for everybody but the chosen few. And we pray, cause we know that they might not ever come back. But this is how we ride, this is how we do.